This. I've just spilled coffee everywhere.
Hi, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dan.
And this is his.
And his.
Top 5 most memorable bosses of all time across every game that we've ever played, ever.
All the games.
So we've been playing Fury a lot recently, which is a free game for PS Plus at the minute, released at the same time that we do the whole video. So we've been playing Fury. Been playing Fury a lot recently, which is a free game on PS Plus at the minute for the month of July.
It totally consists of boss battles.
Purely
There's
boss battles.
Nothing but boss
Shadow
battles.
of the Colossus-esque. But
Yeah.
also more old school shooter style,
Yeah.
top down, with also a bit of a unique mechanic with the fighting.
It's pretty difficult. It's kind of Dark Souls sort of reward, kind of. Well, you don't really get rewarded, but you get a buzz off
off
it.
each
You feel like
boss
you've
that
accomplished
complete.
something.
So yeah, we spent the week playing that, and got us thinking, like, what are our most memorable bosses of all time from every game that we've ever played? So, shall I kick it off?
You should kick it off.
Okay. Oh, we should say, actually, minor spoiler warning for the following games. It's
Spoiler.
names of games now on edit.
But Paul, I thought we were no spoilers.
Oh no, I guess we're just spoilers now.
Oh.
One for me is a Saviour from Devil May Cry 4. Obviously, a Devil May Cry game had to jump onto this list somewhere.
Lots of bosses.
Saviour, for me, I think it must have taken me like 2 weeks to beat. He's a final boss, sort of. In Devil May Cry 4, you play as two characters, Nero and Dante. Dante from the original 1, 2 and 3, and Nero who was a new character for Devil May Cry 4. And so you play halfway through the game as Nero, then you fight sort of Saviour, like his low power level. It's just the Archpriest or whatever his name is. It's been a long time since I played it. And then the final boss is Saviour in his like big form, and it's like this giant like, statue that comes to life, sort of think of like Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. And you're just in the sky in this big epic battle, and you've got to like jump between platforms and stuff like that, and it's just a proper thrilling fight, and it's difficult as well. It took me so long to beat.
I've never played Devil May Cry,
you need to
at
get
all, really. Yeah, I bet it's hard though.
Yeah, it is really. I'd say it's on par with Dark Souls, especially
really,
the older ones. Like, and it gets to the point where if you start using your resources up, like your revives and stuff like that, and your heals, you can only buy them so much before they start increasing in price. So like, you literally have to either get good. Or try and do it without any healing potions or anything like that, because it just becomes too expensive in the end to keep buying them.
My number 5 is the Nameless King from Dark Souls 3. Kind of chose Nameless King. I was trying to think of through all because pretty much all the bosses in the Soul series
incredible.
Soulsborne.
It's hard to narrow it down.
Yeah, they're all pretty memorable. But I think Nameless King, I don't know if it's because it's the most recent Souls game I've played, but I remember doing it and just thinking, this is how you do a boss.
Yeah.
Like, it was just
incredible.
And he comes in on that dragon. I can't remember what it's called.
Storm King of the Storm.
No,
It's actually two.
Oh yeah, that's the Storm King, isn't it?
It's two fights essentially. You fight the Storm King with
like
the Nameless King on the back, and then
so
just when you think all's well and you finally beat it, it's phase 2.
That's hard. Yeah. As soon as you kill the dragon or whatever it is, bird thing. You go into more of a one-on-one sort of fight, and it's hard.
It's 100% the hardest boss of that game for sure.
I mean, it's definitely doweable, but
we got a funny story with the Nameless King, haven't we? Actually? So me and Dan love going for trophies in games. Try and platinum most games we get. Like, it's just like makes your games go a little bit further.
Totally. More bang for your buck.
So we've been waiting for Dark Souls 3 for
a good battle.
years since Dark Souls 2 released, and on Bloodborne actually. So we were like, oh, you know what, we'll get us a synced up platinum.
Yeah.
So
we'll take it at the exact same time.
We'll get the same screenshot and everything. It'll be nice. And we beat the boss on co-op, and we'll get the trophy for picking up the last item, which is the ring that he drops on New Game Plus Plus. So
we do it all. We're on our third playthrough. We've done it all, both of us. I help him, we beat the Nameless King, he helps me, we beat the Nameless King. We're both standing on top of the ring that we need. It's like, as soon as we pick this up, it's gonna pop. I'm like, I've got my emotes ready to do Praise the Sun so I can get the screenshot like this. I've just spilled coffee everywhere. Darn it. We clicks on it, and mine goes pop, and he goes, it didn't pop.
Didn't pop on me.
Didn't pop. We're like, what? We went through all this like specifically to pop at the same time.
Turns out I was missing another ring, which was literally in the same area as well. It was just around the corner, so it was very unsatisfying. But we got it anyway. It's just such an addictive game once you start getting into the rhythm of things and getting actually good and start slaying.
So,
like,
I remember playing it for the first time. It's probably a story for a different video, but I remember playing it for the first time, being like, I don't like it. I can't figure it out. Like, I just keep dying. I'm not like enjoying it. And then as soon as I beat like the first boss, I was like, ooh. So I carried on, got the hang of it, and now I just addicted to it.
because that brings me on to my number 4.
Before next one, because I just wiped it.
Oh yeah, sure. Mild intermission.
Okay.
We actually have a live studio audience with us today. Shout hello, Jordan.
Hello, Jordan.
On the topic of Dark Souls, my number 4 is actually Great Wolf Sith from Dark Souls 1. Again, like Devil May Cry, a Dark Souls game had to make it onto my list because it's just the main element of the Dark Souls game is its colossally hard bosses.
Yeah.
Great Wolf Sith. I think is that the correct name?
Great Grey Wolf Sith.
Great Grey Wolf Sith. Yeah, it's just one of the memorable ones for me. If I'm playing the game, I always get excited to get up to that point. Because it's just such a nice little.
Those 3
nice
seconds of like the cutscene or whatever, however long it is, it's just worth it. It's just like,
the thing I enjoy most about the Dark Souls series is reading into the lore and stuff like that, and
totally.
getting invested in the universe because they are very vague games, and if you take them at face value, you kind of you don't get as much worth out of the games. I find I think a lot of the Dark Souls experience is based on reading the backstory and really following it through, and the story of Astora and his great sword and the Sith is just. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's a hard hitting
yeah, it is
storyline.
He's only a pooch.
Yeah, he is. He's only a pooch. That's a story for a different day. He's only a pooch. If you haven't played Dark Souls, highly recommend it.
Yeah. My number 4 is Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. I'll have to do as little spoilers as I can because
still yet to play.
He hasn't played it yet.
I swear it's on the list.
But Kefka's for me really memorable because that last dungeon is pretty epic. Basically, a little spoilers as I can. He is really evil, and he kills lots of people. I mean, like lots of people. And his kind of idea is that humans aren't worth living with, so he literally just wants destruction. He just wants to destroy everything. So he builds this big tower as a monument of like chaos and destruction. And then you've obviously got to get to the top, and it's just this big, massive tower. You split into 3 parties, and you have to solve puzzles and fight loads of bosses on your way up to the final.
That kind of sounds like the end of the first Eve's game.
It's
sort of similar. You have to climb a massive tower to get to the final boss.
It's hard. It's just like dragons and stuff in there, and although it's like 16-bit graphics and little characters and whatnot, it's still kind of epic. Especially when you get to Kefka and he like transforms into like this god-looking thing, kind of like Sephiroth does. And you're there and you've got your separate party and you're just whittling away at him. It's
tough.
It's just epic.
Gives us so good there.
So good.
So good. My number 3, I thought it'd be a little bit off the rails with this one. Is from Guitar Hero 3. Tom Morello from Guitar Hero 3. I'd class him as a boss.
Well, yeah, he is.
He is. You've still got to beat him. There's the 3 bosses in Guitar Hero 3. It's Tom Morello, Slash, and Lou Reed. Lou Reed, I think, is like as the devil. Yeah, he is. He's like as the devil. He does like the devil going down to Georgia. But Tom Morello for me, I'm like a huge Rage Against the Machine fan. I've been since school, and I remember like the first time I come up with like. I was playing the game, and then I got to because I think he's the first boss battle actually. And,
yeah, that rings a bell actually.
And he comes out on stage, and I was like, "What's this? I've never played this mode before." It was the first Guitar Hero game I played as well. And the next minute, Tom Morello shows up in his little trucker hat, like with all the stickers on his guitar. And he's just like, and I was like, "Oh my god, no!" And then like when the song starts playing as well, with his like wiki wise. No, he has his own little like his own unique one, and then you play with him after. Once you beat him, you play Bulls on Parade with him afterwards. And the song that he plays, like, it's not even a real song, it's just like made up for the battling system. Yeah, and it's just all wiki-wah shit and stuff like that. And I was just blown up. I was like, oh, I loved it. It felt like I was playing with Tom Morello, like one of my favourite guitarists of all time. And even like, I'd listen to the song on the bus, and it wasn't even a song.
My number 3 is LeChuck from the Monkey Island series. Specifically, He is a boss. He's a boss. He's the main villain, and you have to defeat him. Guaranteed you can't die, but you have to figure out puzzles in order to beat him at the end of every game. And I'm gonna go with Escape from Monkey Island, the 4th Monkey Island in the series, on PS2, because I thought it was the funniest and the most legitimate. It's basically when you sort of get towards the end of the game, you when you're on Monkey Island, you have to learn this. A kind of common appearance is insult sword fighting, and you kind of counter one insult with your sword fighting. You kind of they'll say an insult and then you counter that insult with another insult, like and specific insults.
Proper Monkey Island.
Yeah, specific insults like go hand in hand sort of things, and then it takes a couple times and you can defeat them. So in this one, you learn something called Monkey Combat. And it's kind of like it's kind of like rock paper scissors in a way. It's just different combinations of saying oop, ak, and chi.
Yeah.
And so like you'll be like fighting all these different monkeys, and you'll just be going into different stances, and different stances defeat different stances. So at the end, you're
Snapshot of Jordan Mercer. Different perspective.
On PS2. So at the end of the game. So at the end of the game, it's the last confrontation, and you're kind of in this big monkey robot thing, and one of the new villain called Ozzy is in a LeChuck, like big LeChuck statue that's being taken over, and you do a monkey combat against each other, but it's like on a bigger scale. You can't win, so like you've got to think outside the box. So I'll do an impression.
Okay, here we go. Do you want the full frame?
So you'll be in different stances and whatnot, and then if you draw, they do this, and they bang on the red. So you've got to draw in order to win. So if you draw, because Ozzy's standing on top of his hat, and you draw, you'll go like this and just squash him. So think outside the box sometimes.
My number 2 was going to be a toss-up between this game and Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
Because Shadow of the Colossus was
Shadow.
Again, is another boss game where it's just not a boss game, like it's a boss game where it's just like full of boss battles. It's
a boss game.
But I decided against it because I wouldn't say it's a little bit predictable, but this one like evoked a response in me like no other. It's actually
David
from The Last of Us.
Oh,
again,
right.
Not really an overt boss, like it's not made clear there is a boss. I think his name
David.
Anyway, I probably should look that up. It is
David.
I haven't got a clue, can't remember.
He's like a paedophile who kidnaps Ellie. And he runs like a group of bandits. He locks Ellie up and stuff like that, and eventually you end up escaping, but he chases you down into like this like restaurant, and the only way to beat him is to sneak up on him 3 times, and I think you stab him in the back. But my god, on grounded mode difficulty, you can't use the vision, like the hearing vision where it like shows you his silhouette. You've just got to creep round, and he whispers stuff in your ear like, "Where are you, Ellie? I'm coming for you, Ellie."
Shame you wouldn't come around. Hello, Ellie.
And it makes your hands sweat. And I've said this before, like horror games don't really scare me. It's more when I can feel something behind me chasing me. It makes me so anxious, and I start sweating like mad. And that was the one part of the game I was dreading doing on grounded mode, but I nailed it in the end. It took me so many tries, and it's so chilling. You actually feel like you're being chased by a paedophile. Not that I know what that feels like, but yeah.
I'll have a quick sip. My number 2 is from Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, another game I'll do minor spoilers on.
Another game I'm yet to play. That I've had for years.
It's actually a optional boss, so if you beat the game, you can go and fight this boss as any of the characters, and it's just a hard boss. It's memorable because basically he only has 1 health bar, but it's still just so hard. You constantly have to dodge. I've even said its name. I haven't even said it's called. No. Vanitas' Lingering Spirit. You constantly have to dodge to get away from its attacks. So get used to mashing circle, I think, is dodge. You just can get used to it. It's so hard. You can't even like heal yourself, because if you use a healing spell, he'll use one, and it'll just put him back at full health. You can basically 1-shot, maybe 2-shot,
Really?
You can heal yourself, but you have to use potions, and there's only like really small windows where you can use it.
See.
It's just one of those kind of hard bosses, trial and error, just kind of figure it out and get used to it. Learn his attack patterns, that's why it's memorable for me, just because it's like the difficulty of it and how cool it was. Like, it's got some cool moves and whatnot, and it's probably the first time I've ever like done a boss and just thought like I earned that. Like I learned it. Because I did it on PSP first.
I think that's what makes a great boss battle, and that's where I found so great about Fury was the fact that, by the way, we're not sponsored by Fury, we just really enjoyed the game, and we'll probably do a review on it next week. That the thing I loved about Fury the most is, and the reason it reminded me of Dark Souls, is because you go into a boss fight and there's stage after stage after stage, and you have to learn each pattern, and when you come out of a boss fight you feel like you've actually learned. Like from each fight, you haven't just went in and sort of like, you know, coursed your way through it and it's like, oh thank fuck, that's the way I've done that, like on a fluke. You actually have to literally memorize every single attack pattern.
Get ready for the next phase. In this phase they're going to do this instead of this attack, so get ready to...
My number one, we limited
one boss per franchise.
If we didn't, then my entire list would be Metal Gear bosses, because it's like my favourite series of all time, and there's so many good boss battles. And of course I could have went with Psycho Mantis, unplug the controller, blah blah, memory card, he spins the room round, throws Meryl at you.
Good boss,
but it's so over. It's like, it's great, but you know, for me, a big one that I thought tied the knot on the series for me was Snake versus Liquid Ocelot at the end of number 4. Again,
I haven't played
light spoilers, but it makes me literally speechless, because like I played the game my entire life. In the final act, you're on top of like this massive, like, how do I describe it without giving it away? Massive boat, and Liquid Ocelot shows up, and you sort of have a fist fight similar to the one that you have on Rex at the end of number 1. And when you start fighting, it starts playing all the Metal Gear themes, like the soundtracks, all one after the other, and it's just such an emotional fight. Like in the middle of the sea, the sunset, like, and they're just shouting They're shouting like quotes to each other, like Liquid Ocelot's like brother and stuff like that, and it's just it tied the series up for me, and it even got me a little bit emotional. And it's the fight just before, if I can remember rightly, it's the fight just before the end of the game cutscene, which is like an hour and a half long, which is also, the wind is crazy, which also ties the game up really nicely in the entire franchise. So yeah, that's it. Literally leaves me speechless. I mean, if you haven't played it, definitely recommend playing them all first, and then playing the last one, because you'll get such a high benefit from it.
I really need to play it.
Great boss battle.
For my number 1, I've gone with a little bit controversial again. I've gone with Manfred von Karma from Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, the first game, because he's definitely a boss. Of course he's a boss. He's the main antagonist. So throughout the game there's different cases that you go through, but there's still like an overall story that kind of comes to a conclusion at the end. And he's like the centre of it all. He's the last prosecutor you go up against, because throughout the game you'll be going up against what's his English name? Miles Edgeworth. So throughout the game, the prosecutor you've been going against is Miles Edgeworth, and story about him and Phoenix sort of comes into light as well, and sort of wraps up towards the end. But for the last case, spoiler, you're actually defending him, and his mentor, Manfred von Karma, is the last prosecutor you go up against. He hasn't lost a case in 40 years. He's like this big scary guy. He always gets a guilty verdict, but it's your job to change that, and stuff unravels, and it's really good. It's really good. Goodbye.
No,
it's really interesting how stuff kind of comes to light and different evidence shows up, and little by little you sort of unveil the mystery behind it, and then you're like, right, that's it. We're gonna here's the evidence. Objection. You know.
There's always something like that in every game, isn't there? It's like, not that guy who's never been defeated. You're gonna have to defeat him.
It's more than just defeating him though. They're like, I'm trying not to give anything away. the way the whole story wraps up, and it's just really good, really interesting, really well done. It's a cheesy game, and like the script and stuff's cheesy, and there's loads of puns and stuff like that if you like puns, but it's it's really good.
You heard it here first, folks. It's really good. The Danley Mail gives it 1 star out of 10. That's our top 5 most memorable boss fights of all time. If you've got a favourite boss fight that you want to share with us, whack it down in the comments below. We'd love to see some of the people.
To see comments.
Literally, this was the hardest video for us to put together. Like, there's so many boss fights. I didn't even include one off Zelda.
No, neither
did
I.
I played more or less every Zelda game.
I had to make a big list and then just whittle it down.
Yeah, there's a lot of. We could even do a part 2 of this. There was so many that we had to narrow it down to. So maybe if you enjoyed this video, leave a little comment down below as well, asking if you want a part 2. We'll do a part 2. We've got loads to pull from. Also, don't forget to subscribe as well. We probably got a Fury review coming out this week if you want to see that. And tune in next week for another 5x2. Arigatou gozaimasu!
Liquid!